25th of March 2025. The reason that date's important is because when I walked in here 6 months ago on the 27th of September 2024, I looked like this. I was about to receive insight into just how bad my biometric data was. The 535% too much body fat on the trunk just being one of them. The part that you didn't see on camera that day was I also knew how bad my blood pressure was. But Jordan, together with the team at EAC, said they could fix all of that in 6 months. So Jordan, we're 6 months on. We're going to do another scan now to show just how far I've come. And then we're doing the VO2 Max test to show how much the VO2 has happened. But just to help anyone watching this that's considering going on a health journey themselves, why is that the initial data at the start of 6 months and the data today really important to help people understand what's possible?
Yep, great question, CJ. So to create any program, plan, structure, we need a definitive starting point. There's lots of ways we can do this, but the data that actually matters most is body composition. So what is our body composed from? We want to understand where our visceral fat is, where our body fat levels are, where our skeletal muscle mass is, where our bone density is, and where our cell health is. This is only a few of the metrics that we're going to go through today again. But with that starting point, we can then begin to craft what does our exercise program need to look like. We then, at various stages, depending on the person, will look to incorporate a VO2 Max test. So we want to understand how healthy somebody's cardiovascular system is. Where are their heart and lungs currently at? We get this as a starting point. We can then understand what zone does that person need to train in for their zone 2 to use fat as fuel and improve their metabolic efficiency. How healthy is somebody's peak cardiorespiratory fitness? So how much oxygen can their body take in and distribute to working muscles? We then want to understand what can that person do on a weekly basis? What can that person commit to? Is it 3 hours of exercise a week, 4 hours, 5 hours? What does that look like? And then how do we incorporate a program that fits with their lifestyle? So meeting somebody exactly where they're at, understanding their physiological starting point, and then creating a nutrition system that helps get them the results that they want and need, and then we support them along the way. So for anybody that wants to make this successful, get a starting point, understand what the data means, understand what visceral fat is, do some research when you get the data so you can actually educate yourself on why this is important. It's okay me talking to people about data, talking about the insights, why it matters, but when you do your own research and when you start figuring things out and connecting your own dots, it gives so much more clarity and context on why this process is life-changing and what it can do for the next 30 years and beyond of somebody's life.
Having gone through it, I often get asked, have I been on this program for monetary gain because of the relationship with the EAC? Absolutely not. I mean, the honest story is, as an agency, we've done the marketing with EAC. We were talking about the joy of having the ability to tell the story of somebody going through it. And as somebody who is in poor health, I became the subject matter, but I've not had any personal financial payoff. This has been very much a journey for me. There were 2 or 3 things that were in my mind when I started this. Can I really improve my health? I couldn't run to the end of the road. Genuinely, if I bent over, put socks on, I was out of breath. If I got on a train, I'd be sweating. I was in such poor health. The visuals here just underline how much heavier I was and the impact that was having on how I was living. Just look at the complexion. I was very grey compared to how I am now. But I was thinking, how much of an effort is this? And do I need to be a monk for the next 6 months to stand a chance to shift the needle just a little bit? The answer to that is, I couldn't be further from the truth. Within a month, data had moved on. Within 2 months, you're thinking, okay, this is actually getting easier. And by month 3, you're wanting to improve the number of exercise sessions you're doing. The other bit that I think is important for people to understand is, I've not been a model person training. I've been hampered with a hand injury that meant I couldn't grip weights or a bike for 4 weeks. So Jordan had to figure out other ways in which I could do exercise using walking and putting weights in the backpack to get the cardiovascular system operating. We then had Christmas. We were hosting at Christmas. We had people around for about 10 days. And I indulged because it was important to us. And then I had really bad flu at the start of January that wiped me out for about 2 weeks. I couldn't walk up the stairs. I was out of breath. So this 6 months has been a genuine 6 months. This isn't a content series with a filter. It warts and all as to what's gone on. What we're about to do is find out exactly what has gone on. And we're going to give you all the data, hopefully to inspire any business leaders who are in poor health to realise 6 months is nothing. You can change a lot, and then you'll get to a point where, okay, I want to stick with this because I feel a lot better. And that's definitely where I am. Today's the starting point for another 6 months for me, but I would never have believed that at the start of this journey. Shall we get the scan done?
Let's do it. 2, 1, go. Crush it, crush it, crush it, crush it, crush it. Go, 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 go. And rest. Good bad. Go. Crush it, crush it, crush it, crush it, crush it. Keep going, keep going. Good bad.
I remember sat 6 months ago and I was so nervous. And then when you started going through the data, I could feel myself spiraling. And I think on the edit, the camera operators were really good at getting the close up of me twitching, and my business partner Katie, she could see how rocked I was when you gave me that killer visceral fat stat. And for the 2 hours driving afterwards, that was just banging around in my head. And I think I might have mentioned it once or twice in video diaries over the ensuing weeks. I'm desperate to know where we're at.
No. Let's go through the data. That's the joys of tracking the right metrics, CJ, that we can definitively track what's important and actually measure it.
Yeah.
So if we look at our muscular strength test, when we first done this, your muscular strength was actually in a pretty good place.
Yeah.
Years of playing rugby, of the strength and conditioning work that you've done, why muscular strength is important. And some people in the longevity circle actually argue that the most important metrics to pay attention to are VO2 Max and muscular strength. Okay. So your muscular strength started at an absolute score of 58 kilograms.
Okay.
And a relative score of 56.4. So the relative score means of the skeletal muscle mass you have in your body, how much of that muscle can you actually activate and use.
Okay.
We've just retested that. So it's went up by 1 kilo to 59 kilos.
Yep.
And your relative numbers went up to 58% because you have less body weight. You're able to recruit more skeletal muscle mass relative to your body weight.
So the leaner you get, the more you can activate that strength that you've got then.
That's what we want. That's the trend that we want. So it's not just about losing body fat and losing actual function and strength.
Yep.
We actually want to maintain or increase that function and strength. So if I look at the percentile for males in their 40s, top 10% is 61.8 and over. Top 25% is 56 to 61.7. So we're about bang in the middle of that.
Oh, wow.
Top 25 percentile, very close to the top 10 percentile. One of the really important things to understand with muscular strength when it comes to longevity and quality of life is how closely it's linked to neurodegenerative disease, in particular Alzheimer's and dementia, because it's linked to frailty. So we want to maintain as much strength and our ability to squeeze, lift things, shopping bags, suitcases, being able to put bags in overhead lockers. We want to maintain as much of our physical function as we can.
Okay.
Resistance training does that.
Right.
So that's increased, which is great.
Yep.
As well as you getting leaner.
Okay.
So first metric. Now we're going to go into the detail. So in-body score has went up 2 points, which is a really positive sign.
Hey, so that had plateaued before, and you were helping me understand that, because I had that big gain at the start, I naively thought, oh, this is a doddle, going to have big gains every month. And that it then gets harder to increase. So going up 2 points, that's a real positive, right?
Definitely. That is more of a consistent measure we would expect to see from one scan to another. Okay. When you done your first scan, it was 63 points. And it went to 73, which I don't know if I'll ever see a jump that big in that space of time. I think it was 3.5 weeks at the time. We've now increased your in-body score, so your body composition score, from 63 points up to 76. So it's went up by 13 points.
Oh, nice.
Really good. Those are the trends that we want to see. We then go and we start to understand where has body fat came off from. So with our trunk to date, we started at 22.7 kilograms of body fat in your trunk.
And that's, for those that aren't aware of the trunk, that's the excess weight that I had from the shoulders to the bottom of my abdomen. I had 27% too much there alone.
Yeah, from shoulder to shoulder down to your waist.
Yeah.
You've lost...
Sorry, 27 kilograms was that?
22.7.
22.7 kilograms, and we knew that that was 530% too much.
538%.
Right, okay.
So we're now down to 17.2 kilograms of body fat in your trunk. So that's decreased by 5.5.
On that area alone?
On that area alone. Just
wow.
Complete body fat. So if we look at like an Olympic plate, one of the weight plates I've showed you,
yeah.
just in your core area, your trunk area alone, one of them plates and another 500 grams of fat off that area.
Blimey, okay.
Great trend.
Yep.
We then look at left arm and right arm.
Yep.
From we've started, this is really good. So your left arm was 4 kilos of body fat. It's now down to 2.2. So we've lost 1.8 off that area alone.
So 1.8 kilograms of fat?
Yeah.
Blimey, I would not have thought that was there. That's extraordinary.
And it's when you're uploading your progress pictures, we can start to see the definition in the arms, the biceps, the triceps,
so
the
that's
shoulders.
We'll put some images up so people understand, because you were annotating what was happening here, because I had to stand with my arms out.
Yep.
And I'll be honest, I got a bit frustrated that you were annotating here, because I'm thinking, no, but the biceps where all the work's been, and you're not allowing me to show it type thing. But you were able to see the lean muscle mass versus the fat then?
Yeah. The tricep in the back of the arm makes up for over 2/3 of muscle in the arm.
Does it really?
So the biceps only 1/3, whereas the triceps 2/3. So the triceps a lot larger in terms of surface area of the arm.
So this really is a kind of vanity versus sanity thing then in the health world then. I mean, everyone's doing those sort of poses in the mirror, but the reality is what's going on back here is a great barometer.
Definitely. There's nothing wrong with being a male and wanting your arms to look in great shape.
Yeah.
When you put on a polo shirt, when you're putting on a shirt when you're on holidays, it's a great feeling. Like anybody who doesn't say that they don't want to look that way and feel that way sometimes begs if they're telling the truth. But it's a great feeling to be in a body that looks well, performs well, and you feel that you're improving it week on week, month on month.
So if we've taken 1.8 off of the left, what's come off the right then?
The right is, so it started at 3.9 and it's down to 2.1, so it's 1.8 as well.
Okay.
So very, very consistent.
So all those reps with the dumbbells, the press ups, the even the bench presses, that's all had an impact in all of that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And then with our legs and our lower body, 1.6 kilograms of fat off each leg.
Now, I'm not surprised to hear that, because when I was first here, I'd lost loads of, I know there was muscle on the leg, but there wasn't definition from when I was playing rugby. And with all the running I've been doing, I've really noticed it come back. So I was expecting to see some improvement there.
What's really interesting as well is we've had our biggest decrease in inflammation in your legs as well. So when we measured on our last scan, it was 0.380. It's now went down to 0.37, which is optimal for ECW ratio, extracellular water. So your legs have lost a lot of inflammation.
I'll tell you why I personally pay a lot of attention to this. So I had to, I mean, you know this, Jordan, but for anyone watching this, I had a series of bad ACL injuries on my right leg. And when the first time I did it, there wasn't a corrective surgery for it. So it was a work that you had to try and do on the quads to strengthen the area around it. As I got older, I had the full corrective surgery. But I feel like I've rehabbed the legs properly for the first time. And when, I'm not going to get the name of the exercise right, the Bulgarian squat, right? When I first did that, I was wobbling and trembling like I did in the yoga session at the group phase. I fell over doing a yoga pose. My core was so bad, I was so uncomposed, I fell over. But now I'm down and up with great control. And it only dawned on me last week about how strong the right leg is, and I'm no longer concerned about the knee. That's extraordinary.
It's great to see, and it's great to even to hear that from you as well, CJ, because when we first scanned your right leg, the inflammation in it was very high. It was actually 10 to 15% higher than the left leg.
Yeah, I can believe that.
And it's now down to a much healthier range as
Oh,
well.
that's fantastic.
So the fact that you feel stronger in that area, that there's no pain in that area, that you're able to train, run, cycle on your legs is brilliant feedback that our legs are getting healthier, stronger, less inflammation, and functioning better as a whole.
So I'm trying to do the math in my head, the collective kilograms of fat that I know you're going to tell me, but I'm not, because I'm liking these numbers.
And that's why the data is so important, that we have that accurate way of measuring what's actually went on. Weight gives us a body weight, just gives us a relative number on the floor at that moment in time. It doesn't allow us to actually understand what the body's composed from. I could have two individuals both stand on a set of scales weighing 75 kilos each.
Yep.
One could have 75% body of muscle bone density, 25% fat. The other person could have the opposite.
Okay.
Very extreme cases, but it doesn't give an accurate description or representation of what that body is actually composed from, which is the actual detail and information that matters.
And from a personal processing perspective, that tangible insight, you suddenly realise the work, the impact that's going on.
Completely, and we're going to go into skeletal muscle mass now.
Yeah.
So what's really interesting with the CJ, when somebody goes through a fat loss phase, at a minimum, I'm doing everything possible with that person to maintain skeletal muscle mass.
Yep.
We want to maintain as much healthy muscle as we can,
whilst
we reduce body fat mass.
And I had a problem because of you use that line, lean muscle mass. I didn't have lean muscle mass. We had to strip out a lot of fat, like the 1.8 kilograms that's come out of the arms. There was a lot of unhealthiness that had to be pulled out before we start building back up, right?
Completely. If we have large amounts of body fat mass and we have a decent level of skeletal muscle mass, in order for that skeletal muscle mass to look good, to perform good, we have to get body fat mass to a much healthier range and position. And that's why when we see the progress pictures, we can see your body starting to visibly take shape as a physique. We can see muscle protruding, we can see the body fat coming down.
Yeah.
At a minimum, I want to protect that individual from losing any skeletal muscle mass. Now, everybody's body is different. Everybody's circumstances and lifestyle is different, varying levels of stress, depending on where they're at in their life, what they've done previously in terms of exercise history, genetics, all of that plays a role.
Got you.
But as we start scanning, we start to get an understanding of how their body's going to adapt and change over an ongoing period. So I would have been really happy if we had have lost all the body fat that we did and lost only a small bit of muscle mass. I would have paid that price because we were in a fat loss phase.
Yeah.
We've actually added muscle whilst reducing your body fat mass, which for anybody listening, it can be like, okay, I want to build muscle and lose fat. Everybody wants to do that. Of course, it's much harder in practical terms to pull it off because you have to eat adequate levels of protein. You have to train at a certain level when it comes to resistance training. You have to do your cardiovascular fitness. You have to sleep well. You have to manage stress. You've done that. So you've added muscle whilst pulling away body fat. Muscle is our organ of longevity. It's what keeps us functionally strong to do the things that we love. And it's also how we look really good as well. When you're talking about the definition in the arms, the legs, the core, muscle is what that is. We don't want low levels of muscle and low levels of body fat. We want high levels of muscle and healthy levels of body fat.
Okay, that's really good news. That's really, really good news.
You obviously come from a sporting background. You've lifted weights before. You've built muscle in your earlier life.
Yeah.
We want to hold on to as much of that as we can, and we've added muscle in a fat loss phase. So just so you know, that's really, really, really positive.
Early on when we started this program, I felt like I was chasing to try and get back to where I was, and it always felt like it was out of reach. But in the last month, with the weights that I've been lifting and the control I've had and the energy levels, like when I've been doing longer runs, all of a sudden I now feel like, okay, I'm not actually far off where I was from a fitness and a strength perspective. And it gives you so much more self-confidence, not just for the vanity elements or those great articles you send me by the brilliant Dr. Peter Attia, who has that amazing graph that if you can do a park run when you're 37, by the time you're in 67, you'll struggle to walk up a hill at 3 miles an hour, and you suddenly think, blimey, right? So if at 37, you should be able to blitz through a park run, so then you can lift your bags and travel and all the rest of it. You can't help but get inspired by those messages, and that's really what I've been striving for. So it's really encouraging to hear that. Brilliant.
At 47 years young, I want you feeling like life's only getting started in terms of health, energy, fitness, longevity.
Okay.
I want all of the things that you want to do in your life feeling that they're possible because of the levels of health and fitness and longevity that you're building.
Well, I said I wanted to keep up with the kids and be more present. I mean, you know this story, but a couple of weekends ago, I'd done a really long ride, climbed the hills. I had, I think I was day 6 of training sequentially at this point, and I'd done some heavy sessions. And then in the afternoon, I was charging around in the garden for about 90 minutes with them. And it was off the back of that I just thought, this is what it was all about, having the energy levels to do this. But I would have taken doing 90 minutes of charging around with them at the start of the program, not going in and riding in the saddle for an hour and a half up over the hills and smashing it, then doing 90 minutes with them. That was a real moment of sitting back thinking, okay, that's why we've put the work in.
I don't think there's a better way you could have explained the last 6 months in that one snippet there. You know, I remember you sent me the picture. I think it was maybe your My Zone picture you had posted. It was like al fresco, you out having lunch, breakfast with the sun shining, kids playing in the backyard, and it was you after a session on a Sunday. Like, to me, that's what life should be like. That's what great health affords us, to feel that way, to show up that way, to be present, and to have the energy to be with the people that matter.
Okay, amazing.
Body fat mass.
Yeah.
So we have lost 13 kilos of pure body fat to date. Just body fat, whilst building muscle.
That's brilliant.
All of the things that have went on over the last 6 months, you've still ran a very successful marketing social media agency. You've still had a family. You've still dealt with all of the ups and downs of day-to-day life, injury, Christmas period, sickness, caring for a family, leading the team, leading the business, and you've still prioritised your health and fitness by losing over 13 kilo of body fat and building muscle.
I'm very happy with that. That's great. And it's manageable. To anyone watching this thinking, I don't have time to do this, it's manageable. Yeah. And the training wins you time back.
Yeah. So it's such an important part. People often talk about, I don't know if I've got the time to exercise, and I'll challenge them and say, well, how do you have the time to live then? Because this is what affords you a quality of life. This is what gives you more life as well, is having better levels of health, fitness and well-being. I
mean, I found it really interesting, the correlation between the nutrition and energy, the cognitive thinking. That was a great place. But this is brilliant, really, really very happy.
So visceral fat.
The nemesis number.
Yeah, as a metric, nothing comes close to visceral fat, and I know we talked about it in day 1 where
hard, dangerous, compact around the organs.
Yeah, we can maybe show some images to the people that are watching, but it is what drives chronic disease and inflammation, and it is controlled by lifestyle. That's where people get high levels of visceral fat, overeating, very calorie dense, high fatty foods, alcohol, stress, lack of movement, not great sleep. An accumulation of this over time is what adds the visceral fat, and that opens us up to so many illnesses and diseases if we don't manage it and get it to a more optimal place. So we started at 20 and it's now down at 13. So we've taken that down by 7 in 6 months. That as a standalone metric, if we didn't even measure anything else, I would be so pleased with that. In 6 months that we've taken that down to 13. Of course we want to get it under 10, but we are showing all the right trends. If we put the visceral fat on screen, we'll see where it started at 20. Every scan that it keeps coming down, keeps coming down, keeps coming down.
And you did tell me on day 1 to get under 10 was probably going to take most of the year to do. So we're on track to do that.
We're definitely on track. If I fast forward 6 months from now, with the same trajectory that we're on, the target I will be setting you is 7. And why I use 7 for people is...
I remember you saying 7's a good number to be at. I remember you saying that verbatim, yeah.
I'm glad you do, because it affords us the opportunity that if you're meeting up with friends at the weekend,
yeah,
you're enjoying a few glasses of wine, some nice cheese that you talked about,
yeah,
you're out for a barbecue in the good weather. If it goes up by 1, it's only up at 8, but
yeah,
we're not dancing with the devil as such and going back over 10.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I mean, for regular followers, people that obviously know who Chef Stephen is, he put that brilliant piece of content out earlier in the week talking about holidays and how he controls his nutrition, starts the day strong with the healthier stuff, but at the back end of the days, the wines, the beers, enjoying himself. And I thought that was a really nice way to look at how you can balance choice so that you enjoy, but also are looking after the health bit.
It couldn't be more true. The whole reason and everything I've done over the last 12 years with health, fitness and well-being is when you're healthy, when you're in great shape, you can enjoy the moments in life that matter.
Yeah.
You can have the beers, you can have a few glasses of wine, you can have the meals out, and they don't have an impact. And when we're talking about Chef Stephen, his visceral fat is 1. So there is no better example than somebody who enjoys himself, exercises hard, but still when he's away traveling has a great balance across being able to enjoy some food.
Shows it's possible, doesn't it? Shows it's possible. Brilliant.
Delighted with the visceral fat.
Oh yeah, I can stop saying that. People will be delighted. I can stop saying that on video diaries now. Of get that number down, get that. Well, still got a way to go, but I won't be obsessing about it in the way that I was.
All of the other metrics, very, very positive. Protein is up in the body as well, which is a sign of where we're building muscle, which is great.
So that's all down to the nutrition, which is immeasurably different, right? I mean, I think in the past week we've had some personal challenges. There was one night where we had pizzas, but across the 6 months, that's been really surprising. And learning about the great foods that you can eat, like last night in the hotel, the usual Wagamama's like delivery, and you're tucking into it thinking, there's no way this can be healthy food. It's so good. Learning about that has been a real plus point on it. And the breakfast, I used to love the fully cooked breakfast, whereas now, I said it a lot and I genuinely mean it, if I lost that Greek yogurt and the fruits in the morning, I get such a hit from those multi-nutrients and the protein from the yogurt in the morning. I miss it if I don't have that. That has become a staple. Every day I will have that.
The gut and the body starts to thank us for putting better
It's amazing.
food.
It's extraordinary.
Better food into it, and the part around nutrition is we can eat foods that we love and be in great shape.
Yeah, no, it's great.
It's all doable. And the last metric that we'll talk about is whole body phase angle.
Yeah.
So when we first started, CJ, you were at 6.2.
Yeah.
Anything over 6 from the guys at Embody, we're told is optimal.
Yeah.
It's cellular health.
Okay,
So when we're scanning, it's measuring how healthy the cells in our body are.
Yeah.
So the healthier and stronger and more robust the cells are, the harder it is for the current to pass through the body. Anything under 4 can be somebody who is going through cancer or getting chemo or radiotherapy because of the impact that has on cellular health.
Yeah.
Your cell health now is up to 6.6. So your cellular health is even in a better position. Why is that? Nutrition, more vitamins, more minerals, more variety of micronutrients.
Oh, that's brilliant.
More water, leaner, healthier, resistance training, more skeletal muscle mass, more protein, stronger bones. Your cellular health is at 6.6. The highest I've ever seen is 7.7, sorry. And that's from Chef Stephen as well. So it's in a much better position. So your body at a cellular level is healthier.
That's brilliant. And that's great. It just shows you that this works. Any business leader runs their business based on data. This personal data says we're in a hell of a lot better state than we were 6 months ago. Brilliant. What was the in-body age?
The in-body age was...
Please be younger than my actual age.
It's 48.9. So we still have, of course, some interesting things to work on and talk about in our next phase.
The reason I've grown at that, I mean, it was a lot higher. So I'm 47, 48 September this year. I'm desperate to get an in-body age younger than my actual age. Bit of work to do.
So we started at 50.7.
Yeah, that was a killer.
Yeah. We're now down at 48.9, so we've taken 1.8 years off your in-body age.
6 months work. Okay.
That's the return that we want.
Yeah.
6 months in, 1.7 years back.
Yeah, I can't complain to that, can you? As much as I want the vanity of being younger, but
We go at the same rate again, we'll actually be down at closer to your own actual age. And I know you've mentioned this before in various video diary series and throughout our own videos as well. With the level of effort that we're putting in, we obviously had a period of time, last 10, 20 years, where you've been extremely busy, high levels of stress, raising a young family. What we are doing is working against all of them years and decisions of not aligning your health, your fitness, your well-being and your nutrition to get that back to the place it needs to be.
And I'm not just saying it, I genuinely feel that is happening. I sat here, and when you said to me, I mean, we were talking off camera earlier, you said health is a whole life thing. And I remember like thinking, well, let's just fix some of the things first. I mean, I'll focus 6 months on fixing it. I got to a point around about 3-4 months where it was, okay, I can believe I can train more. And everyone has to go through that experience, because then you realise, okay, this does feel a hell of a lot better. You've got more energy, you've got more output, you can do more stuff. You're not getting up and groaning in the morning. You're not waking up and making those. It's often associated with getting old, isn't it, that we make noises in the morning. And the defining moments for me now is when as you know, I had a night out it was a gathering with friends. It was really important to us. And I was so cognitively aware that there was going to be booze and there was going to be not so healthy food, that I did 2 resistance sessions in one day, back to back, just to put myself in a deficit. And the following day, I woke up, got out of bed, expecting the legs to be stiff, and they weren't. All of this just shows it works. We've just got to keep it up now, haven't we? Relentlessly consistent, as you always say.
That's exactly the game we're playing, CJ. And we're going to move into the VO2 Max test now.
Yeah,
We're going to measure cardiovascular health and fitness.
Let's get it done.
With the body composition, with the muscular strength, you have access to the most important data now.
Please be a good result. Goodness me.
Grafted hard.
Oh, hallelujah. I really wanted 10 points. I really wanted to add 10 points. For no other reason than that was the maximum gain that anyone's ever gone through. And it's manageable, right? It's manageable. Any business leader can do this. Just got to find out what the score is now. Come on. Oh. Where did I get to?
44.9.
And I was 34.
So our previous test, like the numbers are brilliant.
So I wanted to do 10 points. I was
31.5 on our first test.
31.
0.5.
Oh, for some reason I thought it was 34.
31.5.
So we're way over 10 points then.
Yeah.
Oh,
No. We're at 44.9. One of the really interesting stats with the evidence and data that's been in VO2 max testing from Dr. Peter here that he's mentioned, going from the bottom percentile, so the bottom 25% up to the top 25%, shows an all-cause reduction in death by 400%. So if you go from the bottom into the top 25 percentile, you're 400% less likely to die.
Wow. Wow, that is astonishing.
That's exactly where we went.
So that's what, I'm trying to do the maths here. That's over 12 points we've grown by.
So, per 1 point of growth, it can often result in all-cause mortality being reduced by 10 to 15% as well. So we went from the bottom 25th percentile up to the top 25th percentile.
When I was here and I did that test and I saw people getting in the 40s, I just dreamt about getting in that. 10 points is what I wanted for no other reason than you telling me that was the most that had ever been done. But I'm made up with that.
44.9's amazing growth.
I'm made up with
We've
that.
increased your VO2 max by 13 points.
And I think I heard you saying that I was running at heart rate that was way above what my first maximum heart rate was.
We got up to a 170 maximum heart rate. First day that you done your test, we got it up to 158.
Okay, so that's a
So
big
we were
difference.
able to increase the output and increase the energy as well, which was great. What you've done, CJ, in the last 24 weeks is built muscle. We've reduced our visceral fat by over 7. We've lost over 13 kilo of body fat. We've improved your cell health. We've brought you from the bottom 25th percentile to the top 25th percentile for VO2 max. You've improved your muscular grip strength. And you've still lived a life as a managing director, as a father, as a husband, as a son, as a friend, doing all the things you've done. And we only are just scratching the surface around what we can actually do going forward. But the numbers bear it all. The data is such an accurate representation of everything that you have done. And it's been awesome to see the growth that we've had.
I remember when we were driving here to come and do the induction, we shot the teaser, the trailer for the docu-series. We shot it in the car literally the hour before we walk in. And I remember saying to camera, but at 47 years old, if I left it too late to do anything about this. I remember that the response off of that teaser was overwhelming, because I had loads of people in their early, mid and late 50s messaging me saying, you've definitely not left it too late, you're gonna love it. But at that point, you're just sort of in dreamland, in hope. You're wishing it comes true. And there's part of you that thinks, sacrifice on nutrition, sacrifice on personal life, sacrifice on alcohol, so sacrifice on social life. And you kind of have a bit of doom and gloom about all of that. And I remember you saying, no, it doesn't have to be like that. You can eat good food. It's just got to be nutritional food. And you saying that it's 2 to 3 training sessions a week, depending on what you're able to do. And I felt like you were trying to kind of like take away the barriers and show me how easy it was. But I never truly believed that. Hand on heart, anyone can do this. Anyone can do this. It puts the hard work in on the miles and the climbs. When people say to me, why are you riding up that bloody hill and suffering? It's for that moment right there. Makes it well worth it.
Yeah, it's when we have the data, we can accurately and definitively measure what the growth has been. That is a huge part of your success. The other part should be the excitement, the enthusiasm around how you actually feel, the energy, the things you're going to have access to going forward with the kids, Haley, with your friends, with your family. That is what health and fitness does. It's not about sacrificing all the things you love to live this monk lifestyle. It's about getting yourself in a really strong position so you can do the things that you love and enjoy with the people who matter most. You're definitely on that journey. Visceral fat down by over 7 points. VO2 max now in the top 25th percentile.
There'll be a lot of people watching this thinking that those metrics don't mean a lot to me. Let me put it in a different way. I was on the verge of 18 stone. My high blood pressure was so bad, I was in level 2 hypertension. I mean, I was a heart attack waiting to happen. There's no getting away from that. The data was very, very bad. And that visceral fat, that 530% too much visceral fat, when you see this image, you look at it and think, is that me? Crikey, that's I'm doing all of that. That's mega.
Yeah.
That's mega.
It's been awesome, and like the first 6 months for me and for what we do at ESC shows people what's actually possible. And
100%.
I know we've dropped in a few things around challenges and potential
Yeah.
targets we can set towards the end of the year, but
It's funny, isn't it? It's
fitness gives people possibility, and I hope you're excited about the possibility that you have.
No, I really am. I remember telling you that when I did that cycling challenge for charity a while ago, I did it, but I rode myself to breaking point getting it done. Because I had to do the miles because of some donations that meant, close family member meant a lot to me. She didn't have the money to give. My wife's aunt Ev donated 2 or 3 times just to get me over the limit, and I felt I had to do it, but I rode myself to breaking point. I'm now exceeding those rides, those inclines, the speeds, and the heart monitor is telling me I'm so efficient doing it. I've hit that point where it's enjoyable. I go up in those hills because I love it in the sun, whipping down and all the rest of it. And honestly, when I walked in on day one, I couldn't have believed that you would get me to a point where I go and have fun doing it. And it's all possible for everyone. You can go and do it. You really can.
That's where the low-hanging fruit is for people who sometimes have counted themselves out and thought, this is just aging, this is part of decline, this is part of getting a little bit older. Life can be so much more exciting when you're in the driving seat, making better decisions on a consistent basis, and you're testament to that, CJ, and it's going to be exciting to see what opens up as you move forward.
I can't wait to see Warren. I can't wait to see Warren. Yeah. No, I'm delighted, and it's a brilliant program, brilliant people, great support network you've got. You should get involved. Amazing. Thank you very much.
Bye.